Welcome to Mission Matters Live. I am Megan Mio, Director of the Global Mission Office, and this is part 2 of a conversation with Father Anthony Benedetto Pizzo, Provincial Prior of the Midwest Augustinians, also known as the Order of Saint Augustine, Province of Our Mother of Good Counsel. In our last segment, Father Pizzo was telling us about his vocational journey, what it means to be an Augustinian friar and missionary, and about the province here that's based in the south side of Chicago, but it's much, much wider than the Chicagoland area. But, you know, of course, we're always interested in the Chicago connections. So can you tell us a little bit about some of the ministries that Augustinians are involved in right here in the Chicagoland area?
Chicagoland area itself, certainly. We pastorally manage St. Rita of Cascia Parish in the Chicagoland area, along with St. Clare of Montefalco, which has been combined since Renew My Church. And what's interesting about that is that when St. Rita Parish was founded, like with St. Rita High School back in 1905, when the first Augustinian came to Chicago, St. Clare of Montefalco was founded as a mission of St. Rita Parish, along with St. Nicholas of Tolentine and St. Gall, where the Augustinians were ministering in that immediate area. So since Renew My Church, both St. Rita and St. Clare wound up becoming one parish again.
Yeah, right. Connected again.
Right.
Wonderful. Okay. Now I know that you have been involved in a number of ministries, but perhaps greatest among them your work with immigration ministry. Would you tell us about that, please?
Sure. Would you mind if I also mention St. Rita High School?
Oh, of course.
Right. And St. Terebius Parish, where we manage as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. And are there other ministries to include?
We're in the Diocese of Joliet, which is we have 2 parishes as well as a high school there, and then that high school in Tulsa, Oklahoma that I mentioned. All of Canada and then Peru. So yeah, that takes care of that.
You're good at remembering all those details. Well, of course, you've been seeing them. But okay, so I mentioned immigration ministry, and if there are other ministries too, please tell us about other areas.
Sure. Well, depending on where we're located, we're involved in that immediate area. Our parishes do get involved in local issues of the respective communities. So, for instance, I'll use St. Rita and St. Clare as an example because I'm most familiar with them, is that that we had been addressing immigration, issues of safety or violence in the neighborhood, fair housing, affordable health care. So there are a number of things, topics and issues that those ministries have been involved with. And as well as cultivating relationships with the local community as well as with community organizations and social service programs.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that part of the city is more Hispanic, is that true?
Yes. So that area of Chicagoland and West Lawn, as well as Gage Park, there is a huge concentration of Latinos. There's also a community of African Americans in the Chicagoland Market Park area.
And can you say more? Those are some of the ministries that would be tied to the immigration ministry that you've been involved in.
Well, specifically Latinos. So you have immigration issues. You have a fair housing issue. You have affordable health care. As well as you have your street organizations that can be threatening to to destabilize a local neighborhood. Yeah,
right. So I mean, you've been acting as an advocate. Are you raising awareness? Are you trying to help make sure that those services that are needed are available? What kinds of ministries have you done?
First of all, to acknowledge that these issues exist.
Right.
They have to be acknowledged within the community, so this way they know that their pastoral agents are aware of it and walk with them. So yeah, it's important that we, as pastoral leaders, accompany the local community in their needs and with their issues. So we've had all kinds of events. St. Rita Parish, for instance, has been involved in Pastoral Migratoria, big time for many, many years. And we've had campaigns to register new citizens to vote. And we're trying to somehow raise awareness that now that you're a citizen, this is not only a right, this is your moral obligation. This is what we do in a democratic republic, is that we get involved in the issues of our local community and we address them and come up with ideas, programming, services that will accompany these folks when they don't know what to do.
Right. Yeah, the thing that I think is so amazing about Pastoral Migratoria is I think sometimes people think, oh, this is a ministry for immigrants. Like we're going to help them. We're going to do something good for them. No. It's about empowering immigrants,
Right.
You know, from many years or those that are recent arrivals, to know their rights, to be leaders themselves, to understand their faith.
Right.
It's about all of us, you know, leading and saying there's an injustice here and we need to do something about it.
Right.
So the lay folks and the clergy can work together.
Right. We have to be careful that we don't patronize the community, but that we recognize that they have what it takes to be able to step up and to become a leader themselves.
Yeah.
And that's what the Augustinians have been involved with the support of local community outreach, like a Southwest Organizing Project and Southwest Development Corps, even Iman next door, the Inner City Muslim Action Network, the Jewish community up the street. I mean, that area immediately is truly very rich in resources. There's a lot of work,
Right.
and it can be very challenging, but rich in resources. You know, we hope that it continues to spread and that people believe that they are responding to their baptismal call. What is it? To be of service to one another.
Right. And there's a role for Augustinians in helping to encourage that, to be advocates at times, and then to kind of be a stable presence too, I think, too, when so many things are happening.
As we do, and I have to say we're so blessed, as the Augustinians do in all of our ministries, including our secondary education ministry, let alone our foreign missions. I mean, these guys down there at times can be a real powerhouse for their local community. So I've traveled all of Peru as well, and I see this in the different regions of Peru, which have their own cultural nuances as well.
Right.
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 Also very good food.
Diverse. Good food. Yes, very important. Good to know. Well, speaking of the missions, I wonder if we could talk a little bit more about that. You said it's a very specific type of ministry in the mission areas of Peru that you're connected with here in the province. And you said it's all, you know, native or indigenous clergy now, members of the Augustinian order. Just can you tell us a little bit about what the reality is there, some of the needs and ministries?
So our particular mission area for the Midwest Augustinians, as I mentioned, is in an area called Piura, and more specifically in the Diocese of Chulucanas. But we're found also down the Pacific line in a large city called Trujillo. We also have presence in Lima, the capital.
Oh, okay.
So we have houses in all these areas along the coast. In the meantime, in Chulucanas, the Midwest Augustinians were responsible for sending the first American missionaries there, where it was first created as a prelature. The Midwest Augustinians wound up sending the first American bishop there, Bishop John McNabb, who's deceased, and may he rest in peace. And then that just pretty much started the ball rolling, in a sense. There were guys that went back and forth for a while, but then we wound up with our own native vocations there in Peru, little by little, to the point that right now, all these years later, we finally reached this particular point whereby all of our men, all of our religious men there right now, are all Peruvian, native Peruvian citizens.
Yeah.
And they know their culture, they know their people,
Right.
and they're so well trusted and well organized with their pastoral plan and their pastoral program.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's a sort of a marriage there. This is kind of what we call enculturation, where the gospel takes root in a certain culture, and that the Augustinian spirit also, has kind of adapted a little bit to this Peruvian state. I know that it's a very diverse country as a whole in terms of regions and climates and realities and needs therein. And so how wonderful it must be to have native-born clergy who are now creating and doing things that you couldn't have even imagined, 30 years ago maybe, that are just possible because of the way that everything is kind of organically grown.
Exactly,
expanded.
and then that's a wonderful word, a phrase, organically grown, because it comes from them. Certainly, the first missionaries from the U.S. went there and wound up helping to organize the folks, but then they took the responsibility, and this is where we are right now. Also, that word enculturation, I love that word. I really do, because the gospel is expressed best in culture, and it's beautiful. When you listen to how our guys and the local communities speak, how they express their faith is very Peruvian. If anybody knows Peruvian culture, and I'm still learning after this time as well, is that they're teaching me.
Right.
And it's such a beautiful engagement that I find. That's why I go back and forth all the time. When I was first elected provincial, I thought, I have to travel back and forth to South America. I look forward to it. I love it. I love to engage myself with my brothers in Peru, and to be able to observe them and watch them grow, and the local communities respond lovingly.
The gospel is alive.
It is very much alive.
Enculturation is also about that, about making it alive, make it real and tangible for people through culture. Absolutely. Well, connected to this discussion of Peru and missionary Augustinians, Pope Leo was served there many years. You said that straight out of, at the beginning of his
priesthood.
Yeah, priesthood went off to Peru. Is that right?
Correct. So he obviously did his undergraduate at Villanova, novitiate, and then he did his graduate work in theology at Catholic Theological Union. Beyond that, then after he finished, then he was sent to Rome. There were a couple of them that were sent to Rome, and he wound up with attaining his doctorate in canon law. So he's a canonist. He was then sent to Peru. Now, I know there have been a number of people asking me, well, what was that point right there where, how did he feel about going to Peru? I don't know. I wasn't there. But all I know is that he was sent to Peru, and he fared very, very well, better than just very well. The Peruvians are so thrilled that they have one of their own, as the Holy Father, because he became a Peruvian citizen.
Right, a citizen.
Right.
He really adopted it.
He
became
did.
His home.
So he was there for those 20 years, and there are tons of wonderful, beautiful photos of him just with the folks. And there's one photo that I like where he's in his boots and he's in in flood water, and so he gets himself involved in the life of the people.
Sure.
As he is involved from the very beginning in the life of the order.
Yeah, and he was there for many years. I know he was also the Augustinian prior general, the head of the entire order for a time as well.
Correct, yeah. So when he was in Peru, not only did he assist Bishop McNabb in the prelature that eventually became a diocese, but he was also in Trujillo, where he spent many years in formation, leading formation. He wound up designing and overseeing the construction of our House of Formation, where many of our guys to this day from Peru were formed. Then after then he was elected provincial, and he only completed part of his term, about 2 years, before he was then elected prior general. He just kept moving up.
Getting promoted. So he was provincial of the Midwest Augustinians for part of a...
Right, he was my predecessor.
Okay. Even though he had been in Peru for so long, that must have been interesting. Of course, he was from here, but...
Well, what was fascinating about this is that he didn't spend any time in the province.
Okay.
He spent time, outside of formation and academics and things. Right. He went to Rome. From Rome, he went to Peru and so forth. And he may have spent about a year or two, maybe not even 2 years, but it was very, very short period of time. And but his time in Peru and then he was elected provincial, and then from being provincial for a couple of years, he wound up as the Prior General of the Order for 2 terms. That's 12 years.
Wow, okay.
Then
yeah, and then,
long
well, I was going to say, just on that note, the whole order has missions in a variety of places, not just in the United States and in Peru and Canada.
Everywhere.
Yeah, all over the
Everywhere.
place. So he traveled
That's
during
where
that.
I believe, and only he can answer this,
Yeah.
I believe that his global perspective just exploded because of the fact that he had contact with all of our brothers throughout the world in all of our circumscriptions.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
he was well known. I mean, he's just so well loved
Right.
because so many of the guys know him.
You're right. This was all training. Little did we all know at that time, but this was all, he was called to more. People could see that he had even more that he could offer. Okay, so you said after he was Prior General, where did he go from there?
Well, he came to Chicago, and I want to say for a very short time, he was living in our house of formation. But then he was called by the nuncio and was appointed as a bishop of Chiclayo, Peru, which is another city like down the coast of Peru.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And he was there for maybe 10 years or so before being called to the Vatican, made a cardinal.
Yeah, right. Well, he was already working for the dicastery for bishops, along with Cardinal Supich, by the way. They worked together along with several others.
Sure.
And then, he was named prefect of the dicastery by Pope Francis, and we're all buzzing around saying, if he's the prefect, usually prefects are cardinals. Well, no sooner did we say prefects are cardinals, then we got word that he was going to be created cardinal in December of 23, I think it was. And so a number of us went out for the consistory. And it was very interesting because that group of new cardinals that came out on the altar to present themselves to the Holy Father, that group, they chose him to speak on their behalf.
Of course.
And I remember sitting there and listening, and they had the Jumbotron so you could see and hear what was going on. I turned to the guy next to me, and I said, this means something. I don't know what it means, but it means something. This guy is really trusted.
Yeah, this is how he met all these
we
bishops.
know the rest of the story.
Right? He met all the Augustinian leaders. That's amazing, yeah. There's so much to know about him. We, of course, made him the highlight of our World Mission Sunday campaign this year in the Archdiocese, knowing that he is, this is the way I put it, he's the poster child for World Mission Sunday and the Pontifical Mission Societies. He's somebody who answered that call, came from Chicago, went out to the Augustinian mission world, to Peru, and now, to the Vatican, and is missionary to us all, the chief missionary of the church.
Right.
And has inspired so many. I myself have had a few conversations with people here locally who say, I think I might want to be a missionary. And I'd say, well, why? What led you to this? They say, well, Pope Leo, if he can do it, maybe I can do it. So
amazing.
We really hope that this will be an inspiring message for World Mission Sunday this year, that yes, we should be praying for missionaries around the world. We want to offer our financial support through the collection that we'll be taking up, that will be distributed out to mission dioceses around the world. But
wonderful.
We're all called to be missionaries. And maybe that doesn't mean traveling far away. And then this is, one way that we can kind of be connected to that global work.
Absolutely. And, it was Pope Francis who said it, but also Pope Leo would reiterate this. And that is that the church, by its very nature, is missionary. Yes. That is the truth. Yeah,
at its core. It is, if we're living the gospel, then we truly are missionaries.
That's right.
Missionary disciples, as Pope Francis would say.
Right.
Well, now we're coming to the end. I want to make sure we mention ways that folks could learn more, or they could follow up and get involved in supporting the work of Augustinians, the Midwest Augustinians especially. So is there a website that folks should know about?
Yes, as a matter of fact, our province website is midwestaugustinians.org.
Of course.
If you want to read more about our narrative on our own missionary activity, you'll find it right in there. It's very easy to navigate, as a matter of fact. And you'll find just a whole slew of all kinds of messages and videos across the boards of all of our men in the province, and then a number of people that have contributed as well. And we use the phrase all the time, one mind, one heart. I'd like to add one more thing. One mind, one heart, many faces. Because that's the church.
Yeah, so that is his definition of the church.
Right. And look us up on our website, and you'll see that we have a very nice story to tell.
Yeah, I mean, there's ways that folks can look into if they're considering that maybe they feel called possibly to become a friar. But there's also some lay ministry, lay engagement that you have
There
as
is,
well, correct?
yeah. So we do have a vocation link to it. As a matter of fact, very quickly, right after he was elected, within that week's time, we wound up with, according to our analytics, something like 2 million hits. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow is right. But yeah, so we have our vocation link, and we also we just started a program called Friends of Augustine, and our director of lay engagement is in charge of that, and you can look all of that up. A number of people across the boards from all over in this country had been inquiring about St. Augustine. They've been saying already, I've read about St. Augustine, how can I be connected? So we've been pooling people together virtually and having nice little discussions about this.
Well, wonderful. Yes, I mean, there's so many ways that people can be missionaries. And, if you're feeling called, you're hearing something interesting here with what Father Pizzo is sharing, look into it. See, sometimes I say that it's an act of mission, certainly, to be praying. It's an act of mission, certainly, to give, to sacrifice our time. But it's also, it can be an act of mission just to learn, to research, to read, to find out, and then hopefully you'll be moved to then take action as well.
Absolutely.
So we encourage folks to learn a little bit more about
and fleshing the gospel,
life.
right, Megan?
Absolutely, and bringing it to life. Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Father Pizzo. It's such a pleasure to meet you, and blessings on your continued ministry. I think you might be looking forward to the end of your time as Prior Provincial.
Pray for me.
It's been two terms, so that's wonderful. It's wonderful to have missionaries like the Augustinians right here in our backyard here in Chicago, ministering at our parishes.
We're here to serve.
So, thank you. Wonderful. Well, all right. May God continue to bless your work and build harmony, unity, and community right here in Chicago and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Cor unum and Deum.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks to our listeners. Thank you for listening. And remember, let's always be on mission.